Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview, and as always, I am your host, Jay Slim. And joining me today is a 6'3" defensive lineman that is trading in the crimson and gray of Washington State for the purple and black of the TCU Horned Frogs. I'm talking about Ansel Din-Mbuh. What's going on, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing, man? I appreciate you for having me.
Hey, absolutely, man. Excited to have you on. You had quite the sophomore season. You have a very young career so far at the collegiate level, and already so many accomplishments to your name. And I want to talk real quick about some of those accomplishments in a segment that I like to call Rewind and Recap. In this segment, I just rewind the clock and talk real quick about those accolades. And I'm going to start off your senior year of high school. Before you went to Washington State, you won a 5A Division I state championship. Ended up right after that joining Washington State early on in the spring of 2023, starting getting reps with that program, and it paid off because 2 years later, you led the Pac-12 in sacks with 6 sacks, and you were named the Pac-12 Defensive Lineman of the Year. So just 2 years at the college level, and you're already making a name for yourself, showing scouts why you are one of the top linemen on the defensive line in the country. And it's crazy because your freshman year, you only had 2 tackles total. Saw a little bit of rep, saw some time here and there, and then a huge jump this past season. What went into that jump? What helped make you into that defensive lineman that you are right now?
Oh, I definitely say just being more of a technical player, really trusting the techniques I was being taught, and then having like a sense of the game in a better sense, like being smarter within the game of football. That actually really made my game go from here to here. And it really had nothing to do, I would say, with a lot of the stuff that I did on the field. Like it really clicked once I started applying it in the actual game, like on tape and stuff. And so once I really started to do that, it really started to click up here, and everything I was starting to do made sense. And I kind of realized how to use my technique as like my advantage, like to keep leverage and stuff. So
Yeah, and you put up some great numbers this past season by having that great technique. 24 total tackles, 14 solo tackles. You had 6 sacks on the season, led the Pac-12, like I mentioned before, and then 7 tackles for loss. Those 7 tackles for loss equivalated to 27 yards lost for the opposing offense. And some great games, some great highlights that we'll get into here in just a bit. But as a defensive lineman, you're constantly getting hit. You're going at the offensive line, and you know,
yeah.
you're going at them. Like you're going at them with everything you got to try to get to the opposing quarterback. How do you stay healthy throughout the course of the season when you're constantly in contact? The linebacker safeties, they're, having a little contact here and there, but when you're a defensive lineman, it's big time. So how do you stay healthy and ready throughout the course of the year?
Oh, I say the biggest thing is just really taking care of your body, rehabbing. I say I do a lot of hot tub, a lot of cold tub, a lot of stretching. I get rolled out before every practice. So before I even touch the field, like I'm already stretched. Like I've already gotten, trap release done, got my lower back worked on, hamstrings are feeling warm. And then eating breakfast, that's definitely something that I try to do a lot more of. And it definitely helped. I felt a lot better whenever I go out and practice. And so taking care of yourself within the season, obviously injuries, you can't always control those. But like for the most part, I feel like, the more you take care of the little things, like the things that you wouldn't think mattered as much, like the more overall better results you're gonna see. So I'm just blessed to have also played, in 12 games.
Yeah, yeah, and you guys, your defensive side of the ball did their part throughout the season. Offense did their part, and that's why you guys started off 8-1 overall to start off the season. And it was just incredible what you guys were able to do. The Pac-12 was it was really the Pac-2, you guys in Oregon State. Everybody else had left. Now next season, Boise State, some of those teams are going to be joining it. Uh, but you guys were in a very interesting scenario, not really a whole lot of conference games. You guys kind of end up going against a lot of the Mountain West teams that are going to be joining the Pac-12. And you were able to still dominate night in and night out, week after week. You guys went at that competition. What was it about the team at the start of the season where you guys were able to just go off guns blazing and start off 8-1?
I say the chemistry that we had uh was one of a kind. Like Washington State, like I think it takes a special group of guys to play there because Pullman is it's not a lot to do over there. Like it's not like a city like Tempe or like Atlanta where there's plenty of stuff to do. You got a bunch of entertainment, whatnot. The money is big, everything. Pullman's kind of, I'd say it's more reserved. It's like a smaller place. And so, throughout the summer, like we're always hanging out after workouts. Like we're all just having like good time together. We're all talking ball together. And so by the time football actually rolls around, like we've got a connection that's just so tight. And so we're able to just go out there and we're not really even playing, for the game. We're playing for our love of each other, like being out there with our boys, like just having fun. And so, when you just go out there and you play free, like it's easy to play the game. You mean, you already know what you're doing. And so it's like when you just get out there and you just having fun with your boys, like there's no other better feeling.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you guys are playing together, a lot more big plays are going to happen. You, for one, you've
Facts.
had a lot of big plays throughout the season, and I want to talk about some of those in a segment. It's pretty self-explanatory. I like to call it "Make That Play."
Yeah.
I went through your highlights. I went through, all the big time tackles that you had, the sacks that you had, and I have my top three plays from throughout this season right here on my list. But I do want to ask you before I get into them, what was your top play from this past season?
I think my top play would have to be like even though I didn't make a stat on the play, I say Apple Cup, um, that last play, 4th and 1. They on the goal line, they run a little jet toss play, and like me, Eddie, Andrew Edison, and Kyle Thorin, David Gusta, we just all right there. We just swarming them, and it's like you just watch the play, like every angle on the tape, and it's just like the wall is just being shut down, and it's just like a beautiful picture. Like that's probably one of my favorite plays from this year for sure.
Yeah, that is nice. I must have missed that one. I gotta go back and look at that for sure. But I mean, you got a big dude, so I can imagine the wall that got brought up right there.
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah.
Oh yeah, the three that I actually have do show up on the stat sheet. All three of them are sacks, and honestly, and you had good sacks throughout the season. All three of these are from the same game because it was just in dominant fashion each one of them. 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Big time sack against San Diego State, where you just came out of nowhere. Boom. And then the other two sacks, both against San Diego State as well. You had one 6 minutes left in the second quarter. And then 2 minutes, 20 seconds left in the third quarter. You just came out of nowhere. Guy thought that he was going to get away, and boom, just met him right there. And I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And I mean, you had a couple of sacks against Wyoming as well, a sack and a half against Hawaii. So you produce every single night for your team, being that defensive lineman. Uh, that San Diego State, honestly, is really what put you on the map. When I saw the stats for that, that was when, I mean, I had already noticed your game a little bit, but that was when I really started noticing you. And that's when I hit you up about doing an interview. So, how would you say that San Diego State really put your name on the map as far as your production and your confidence?
Well, like kind of after that game, I didn't even really realize like, the type of game I had. I was just like, I mean, I knew I had played well, but I was just more glad that we had won the game. We was down pretty big at that time. And, over like the course of a couple of days, like a lot of people were just kind of talking about it, like in the facility and stuff. Like I had a lot of people that were texting me about it. They're like, "Hey, bro, like you just had like a crazy game. Like you really just had 3 sacks in a game." And after a little bit, I started thinking about it. I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I did. I did have a pretty good game." And so, like, and the way I was thinking about it, I'm like, bet. So how do I capitalize off that? So really, I just started practicing harder. Like I started playing harder. I started putting more emphasis on, pass rushing and getting to the quarterback because, what it really gave me was confidence. Like now I feel like, no one can block me. And it's like it's always a race to the quarterback. And so just getting that on the stat sheet, that's nice and all, but it's more like just for like the love of the game. Like I just love to go hunt. Like I love to go be dominant. And so that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, and it's even harder for interior defensive linemen to really get to the quarterback for those sacks. You usually, the bigger numbers for you guys is sometimes the TFLs, getting the running backs behind the
Yeah.
line of scrimmage, stuff like that. So you being an interior defensive lineman, getting to the quarterback like that during that game, absolutely incredible, and that's why people recognized it so big. And during that game and throughout quite a few other games throughout the season, you were able to make your way past the offensive line like they were nothing, like it was Swiss cheese. You just right through. When you're lined up going against them, obviously I know a lot of players say, "Oh, I just black out during the play. I just, muscle memory, all that stuff." But for you, is there anything that goes through your mind as far as how you're preparing each down to get through that O line?
um, I say it's really a lot that goes into it. I say mostly just reading my key, like keying it down and distance, getting the call. But like in my head, I wouldn't say like, yeah, like there ain't really not a lot going on in there. I'm kind of thinking like if it's a pass play, I'm like, ooh, okay. So like I'm reading the quarterback, I'm like, where's quarterback going? But it really is like it's a reaction thing. Like when people say that, like it's really true. Like there isn't much time to really think. A football play is only 36 seconds. You don't have time to be like, oh, I gotta tackle this guy. Your body a lot of the time just does stuff naturally and takes you to where you have to be because your brain is kind of stimulating that. Like you know what you're supposed to do, but you're not really thinking it through in the process. It's like a mind body disconnection almost in a sense. That's how I think about it.
Okay, yeah,
At least yeah, I play.
that makes a lot of sense how you were describing it right there. And I mean, you obviously have that IQ, that intelligence at that defensive line spot, which is why you were able to put up the numbers you did and why you got the accolades that you did. You ended up being named the top defensive lineman in the Pac-12 this past year. Obviously, the Pac-12, yeah, it was in a weird situation, but still to be able to get that honor, I mean, there's still a lot of tough competition that you're going against for that award. So you being named that as a sophomore, your second year on the field, what does that mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. It really shows that, my ceiling is just as high as I make it. And so really now I'm thinking about how can I go get better? How can I go, get that 7 sacks? How can I go get to 10 sacks next year? Uh, so I'm really just thinking of ways to continue to capitalize, continue to get 1% better every day while also being thankful and grateful for the pack, like the fact that I've received those honors, all glory to God for just even blessing me with the ability to go out and play the game. So I'm just real thankful in that sense. And so, it's nice definitely to have that honor. But I feel like there's always just room to go work. Why not go get better? I still have a lot of time. So I'll make the most of it.
Yeah, and you're going to be getting better with a new logo on your helmet this upcoming season.
Uh,
Made the move from Washington State to the TCU Horned Frogs. I know you and I were talking a little bit before I started recording. You're going to be back closer to home. Family can come out, see your games, all that stuff. But what were some of the other decisions that went into signing with TCU? Because I'm sure you had a lot of high major schools were knocking at your door.
Um, yeah, when it really came down to it, it was kind of like, being close to home in a scheme that, I fit in and I'm needed in. And, it just happens that TCU kind of needed a guy to play that three technique position. They want a guy that can move, a guy that has experience. And thankfully, at the time, God works in crazy ways. I just happened to have entered the portal. And so I think they knew I was wanting to be closer to home. It's real close to my house. So I knew I wanted to be closer to home, and so when I came on my visit, it was just everything I thought it'd be and more. And then from the football aspect, it worked. I fit. I love the people here, so it worked out great.
Hey, there you go, man. I'm sure they're going to help grow you from being already a dominant player to hopefully an NFL prospect here within the next few years, depending on when you enter the NFL draft. And I love having those guys like yourself who are dominant players, but also great people. And it's why I came up with this segment that I like to call "Who's Up Next." In this segment, you give me however many names I should, reach out to have on the podcast this year and in future years. And in this segment, I got two rules. First of which, whoever you name, you got to help me get them on, got to help me reach out to them. And
Mhm.
secondly, you got to give me at least one name where they weren't a teammate of yours at Washington State this past season.
Hmm. Dang, this is hard. For the first one, I have to think on it a little bit. But a guy I didn't play with that I definitely feel like you should have on a podcast. He's a baller. Jerry Lawson. He played at Abilene Christian this past year, but he just transferred to Louisville. He a guy from Texas too. He a D tackle. Man, he had a crazy year this year. I think he had like 60 tackles, like 7 sacks, something like that. Like he was balling, and so he made that move up. He's gonna go play at Louisville, play against some great competition in ACC. So that's definitely a dude I want to shout out. And a dude that I play with that I want to shout out.
You can give me multiple that you played with if it makes it easier for you.
Man, see that's the thing, bro. Like I really be all my guys. I can't really. That's hard. That's really hard to kind of pinpoint everyone. Man, there's a lot of guys.
Hey, so I mean, I'll hit
I,
up 1 through 60. That right there, that tells me
I,
how confident you are in your teammates, man.
man, Carlos Hernandez for sure. He plays receiver at Washington State. That's one of my good buddies. He's a real good receiver I play with. Um, Trey Lechner played tight end. He played 12 games this year. He's gonna have a crazy year next year. That's my boy. Noah Dunham, he plays on the O line over there. He's gotten minimal snaps this last year, but I feel like next year, he's gonna have a big role in the team. Get a couple games in, really be able to show off his like aggression, his energy as an offensive lineman. That's one thing I'll say that he has a lot of. It's like he's got that good football energy.
There
And
you
then,
go. Hey, well, that right there, that's a good group of
yeah,
people right there, man.
that's
I
a
mean,
good group of guys, I say.
I'm sure you and I have talked in the past about getting some guys on before, so I know that you're going to help me out a lot with getting all those names on. I'll be definitely looking at all of their stats. I trust you. You obviously know what talent looks like because you are high level talent. And
I,
now you're heading into this off season, getting ready for your first season with the Horned Frogs. During the summer, you're going to be going there on campus, going to be getting some reps with their team. How are you looking to really attack this off season to prepare for your first year in the Big 12 with TCU?
something I'm really wanting to focus on this off season and like going into spring ball is really making sure my body is in like top tier shape. One thing, I say last off season I did, I got stronger, I got faster, all that, but my body didn't always feel that great and I didn't always take care of it that well. So one thing I really want to do at TCU is just be consistent, taking care of my body, my nutrition, um, like joint muscle health, just really working on, small things like isometrics to really make sure like my knees are strong, make sure my ankles are strong, you know, make sure I'm strong in like those point of positions. Like on the D line, you're always in that switch stance, kind of lunge position. So just making sure I'm real strong in my lower body, my hips stay loose, my groin staying loose, just stuff like that, definitely.
There you go, man. Hey, that's a great mentality to have heading into next season. That's what pros do. They always try to make sure that they take care of their body while getting better on the field as well. And there's no doubt, my mom, man, we're going to be seeing. I know you see the jerseys in the background. I got a whole collection. Trust me, that I switch in and out. We're going to be seeing an autographed jersey of yours up there one day here soon, too, man.
Nah,
So,
I appreciate that, man. Like I said again, all glory to God. Like I hope He continues bless me to play this game, and most of all, just like make His name known through the talents that He's gave me. So I just appreciate you having me on a lot. Thank you.
hey, absolutely, man. And when you do make it to the NFL, I know you're from Texas. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Right
Oh,
now,
that's good.
it's
If
unfortunate,
the
but hey,
Cowboys got
man.
me, that'd be oh my gosh, that'd be insane.
Oh,
That'd be
I
cool.
if you ended up on the Cowboys, I would definitely fly out to a game to see you.
Oh, I have a ticket waiting for you, bro. I got you.
Hey, I love it, man. Thank you so much.
My guy. Appreciate you.